All right, as I was explaining you in Italy, the origin of number 5 from Proto-Indo-European, I'm going to explain you from Greece. While the sunset is happening, the origin of other numbers and their cognates in other Indo-European languages. So let's start with the first number, number 1. We have 1 in English. We have a reconstruction in Proto-Germanic, which was Einas, sounds more like German Eins, or Icelandic ein. And this comes from oinos in Proto-Indo-European. Okay, we're getting too far back in time. Let's just keep in mind that these are speculations from some linguists that think that the original meaning of this word could have meant something like I'm lonely. So I'm just gonna make like an intelligent guess. Ego isom oinos could have meant something like I am alone. Actually, still in Icelandic, people say "Ég ein," which means I am one or I am alone, right? So, what happened to other Indo-European languages? Let's go to Latin. This is pretty easy. It was unus, una, unum, and this evolved into Romance languages such as un, une in French, uno, una, Spanish, uma in Portuguese, and so on. So it's really related. And then what happened to Slavic languages, Proto-Balto-Slavic languages? It was Vienna's in Lithuanian. Okay, still makes sense, still connected, still quite similar. But something happened to Slavic languages. And again, this is just an hypothesis that says that Slavic languages added some sort of prefix to that number, which was something like an ed, which meant something in Proto-Indo-European, but nobody's really sure what it was. So this oinos became something like edon and yeden and adin in Russian, and that's why you can hear a D. So if you're learning a Slavic language, you're gonna come across this D, but not Balto-Slavic. Balto languages like Lithuanian and so, they don't have this D. It's just Slavic languages. So if you want to learn one of them, keep in mind that you will come across this D. Let's go to Greece. Okay, so many people who learn Greek, when they see enas, they say, okay, this is oinos. But no, enas is actually not connected. That's pretty weird because it really sounds like one and it means one. But it is believed that in ancient Greek, this word was heis. When you make this aspiration at the beginning of ancient Greek words, not modern Greek words, it was because there used to be an S at the beginning. So it was something like sems, like mia, which is one in Greek feminine. It is believed that to have been something like simia, something like that. And it is believed to be connected to the Proto-Indo-European root, sem. And sem meant something like all together, all as one. And this gave us similis in Latin, or similar in English, similar in Spanish, or words as sama in Slavic languages, which means that you are basically only one or on your own, depending on the Slavic language. And obviously same in English. When something is the same thing, it means that they are one thing together, right? Or even ancient Greek, there's another word that comes from sem, which is homo, and you know what it means. But anyways, we're not gonna get into another root, we're gonna stick to the numbers. So number 1 in Greek, apparently not really related. What happened to Indo-Iranian languages, such as Sanskrit or Avestan, Persian, even Kurdish? There was a very weird evolution. It underwent, for some reason, some sort of K. So they say something like Eka in their languages. Obviously, it depends depending on which language you want to learn, but you're going to come across a weird K. Nobody knows for sure where this K came from, but it is believed it could have been maybe the influence of another local language of that part of the world, or just a very weird phonetic evolution. Nobody really knows where the K comes from. But if you want to learn one of those languages, keep in mind that you'll come across that K. And that's about number 1. Let's now talk about number 10. This is just my theory. My theory, because this is not attested. Guys, remember that this is just intelligent reconstructions that we can make. Number 10 obviously comes from Old English tien, that comes from tehun in Proto-Germanic, or zehen in Old German, or zehn modern German. So this word, if you have heard about the Grimm's Law, the Germanic T used to be in Proto-Indo-European AD. So this was basically something like dehen, but the H, according to the Grimm's Law, this used to be a K in Proto-Indo-European. So reconstructing it would be something like decem. And that's exactly where the word in Latin decem comes from. So decem evolved into Vulgar Latin deze, and from deze evolved into Old Spanish diez, and now diez, or diez, like we say in Latin America. Or French di, or dize, and Italian dieci, and so on. Oh, zece in Romanian. They underwent another phonetic change. It's that the vibrant this in that part of Europe, they evolved into zit. So if you want to learn Romanian and you already know another Latin-based language, you're gonna find out that Romanian has turned our this into zits. Maybe they just were vibrating these too much and they became z. I could give you tons of examples and I can talk about that in another video. So number 10 Romanian became zece, so it sounds different. What happened to Greek? Well, deca, like a decagon, I mean, it's right there, it's pretty obvious. Dacha, that was in Sanskrit, that was in the Indo-Iranian languages. And we also have in Russian diezyet. Okay, sounds like that. Or Lithuanian deshimt. There's a D there. It is believed that the reconstruction was dekimt. But why Lithuanian says deshimt and Russian says diezyet and Sanskrit says dacha? That's called a Satam language. I don't know if you have heard about it, but basically we can divide Proto-Indo-European languages into two main groups, the Kentum languages and the Satam languages. So what's the Kentum language? That's, by the way, a number, obviously, number 100. We're gonna get into that. Kentum languages are Indo-European languages that have kept the K sound, and Satam languages are languages that have transformed that K into either a ch sound or sh sound or even an s sound. So for some reason it underwent different phonetic changes in that part of Europe, especially eastern parts of Europe, and also obviously Indo-Iranian languages. They are Satam languages. That's actually how they say 100 in their language. So the K from Kentum became an S, so that's why you say Satam, and that's why in Russia you say sto. Even in Romanian they say suta. But why? Romanian comes from Latin, and in Latin 100 was Kentum, so it should be a Kentum language. And yes, Romanian, it's indeed a Kentum language. That suta, it's obviously a Slavic loanword. And as you can imagine, Romania, being in that part of Eastern Europe, has been surrounded by so many Satam languages. Even Thracian. It is believed that Thracian was a Satam language, not a Slavic one, a different kind of branch. Very mysterious. We don't really know many things about Thracian language, but it's just some theories. So let's see what happened to number 100. Kentum. Let's go back to the Grimm's Law so we can go to Northern Europe and see what happened with that number in Northern Europe, in Germanic languages. So Kentum became something like Hände. What happens according to Grimm's Law? The K from Proto-Indo-European, because of the cold weather in Northern Europe, people started shivering, I guess, and they transformed the K into a he sound, so the K became a ha, and the T from kentum became a V. That's because of the cold weather, actually. So it gave something like Hände, Hunde, Hund. I know Hund is dog in German, but no, it's not related to the dog Hund. Nothing to do with it. What happened to Hunde, it's that it still exists in some languages, some Germanic languages. Actually, where I'm from, Tampico, there are some Mennonites who sell cheese in the streets. And I remember that I tried to reconstruct some sort of Germanic language and try to communicate. And I asked how much it was. And his answer was 100 pesos. But to 100, he said Hund. He didn't say the dread. And I was wondering, where does that ending come from? And I found out that 100, the red part, like in German, like in Icelandic, and like in English, it comes from Rath. And Rath, it was an ancient word in Germanic languages, meaning something like an order, related to the word reason, that comes from Latin, or ratio. So basically, 100 is compounded by kentum, and the ending rada, which means 100 in order. So that's the origin of 100, and that's why it has this red that the rest of Indo-European languages don't have. Even some Germanics don't, like I said. And that's for 100 in Germanic languages. In Greek, it is ekaton, katon. Okay, katon makes sense. Kentum, katon, ekaton. What does kentum mean? Nobody really knows, but I like to think that it's connected to the word hand in English. Nobody knows this. It's just a hypothesis, a personal hypothesis, because hand, if you reconstruct it in Indo-European, would be something like Kant, but it's not attested, it's not anywhere. But Kant, maybe, just my theory, could have meant something that you could grasp with your hands, that could fit in your hands. So when I think about kentum, maybe it meant a big amount of something that you could grasp with your hands. And therefore, the number 100 came about. Just a theory. But number 10, that's pretty funny because, like we said, Lithuanian, deshimt, we have a T there as well. And the sh was a K, dekimt. So it sounds to me like de, du, to, kemt. 2 hands. We have 10 fingers in 2 hands. Just a theory. Maybe it's not that, but it could be interesting to think about it. And that's the origin of number 10 and 100 and 1. And like I said, 5. Let's do just one more number. Let's mention number 1000. There are 3 reconstructions for number 1000. And let's keep in mind that in order to survive, they would barely need to count to 1,000, thousands of years ago. So they would have some words to call big amounts of something, and that's just a theory. So let's start with the first one, geslo. This is just a reconstruction. Maybe it was pronounced geslo, we don't know. This geslo, when it entered Greece, it is believed that Hellenic tribes aspirated the S, because they did it so many times with many words, and it became something like hello. And from hello, it became hilia in Greek, which means 1,000. You have it in English, kilo. How many grams do you have in a kilo? Well, 100, no, 1,000. So, kilo, kilometer, how many meters do you have in a kilometer? Well, you have 1,000. So, kilo means 1,000. Even in Instagram, I have, 10K followers. It means the K represents the kilo in Greek. That means thousands, right? So, is kilo related to mil in mille in Latin or mil in Spanish? Yes, it is believed that it is. But what happened? How? They don't even have the M, they just shared the L. There's another theory that says, remember the root sem? Sem meant something like all together or with in Proto-Indo-European. It is believed that this geslo was connected with the prefix sem, geslo, which meant all together, a bunch of many things together. And this sem geslo, when it entered the Italian peninsula and became Pro-Italic, they lost the S at the beginning, and the G became really soft. And this is just an intelligent reconstruction. The Sumgieslo became something like Mieslo, and from Mieslo it became Miel. We also lost the S. Mielo, and from Mielo it became Mille. And this long E sound we have in Latin could have explained why, because it was Mieslo, something like that at some point of time. So from mille we got mil in Spanish, and even the word million in English comes from thousand, but obviously a big thousand, that's million. So we have covered now Greek hilia, we have covered Latin mille, and let's go to Germanic and Slavic, that they sound pretty similar. Thousand and tysiąc in Russian. So what happens to those guys? Well, Thusund in Icelandic, or Tausend auf Deutsch in German, these guys, they come from another root not related to Geslo, but it is believed to have come from the Proto-Indo-European root tum. Tum meant something swelling, such as a tumor. Actually, it is believed that the word thousand and tumor, they share the same origin. Or tumulus in Latin, which gave us tumulo in Spanish, that is something that is, swelling. So when something is swelling, well, it's becoming big, therefore must be full of things, thousands of things. So it is believed that Germanic and Slavic languages, they share this word that meant something swelling, and that's why it's similar in those languages, and not in Greek and not in Latin languages. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this explanation about numbers, and when you decide to learn any Indo-European languages, this information it's going to be helpful. I can tell you about many other languages and how they're connected, and obviously using the wonderful Indo-European connection of words. You can travel back in time with me. We can try to discover together what's the origin of words and what are the secrets that words hide within. This is pretty interesting because this is how our tribes used to perceive the world and our nature, and words, they had really, really interesting secrets. So let's find out together. For information about learning languages, you can find my information in the description, and I hope you share, like, and subscribe. Thank you guys.